It is December 24th, and I decided to come over here and get some vegetables before finishing up some work on a seed bank for small trees. And as you can see here, the Daikon Radish is going strong. There's a nice big one under here. I'm gonna slice those up and pickle them. Oh, by the way, I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead. I picked some greens because there's still greens growing in the garden here. And of course the Daikon Radish is from cover crop. I'm going to lay it out here in the sun a little bit and just let it dry out. I've got other work to do. But basically what I want to show you is that this method provides for you food year-round. It's December. It's cold. Some of these crops are a little worse for wear, but root crops at this density of cover crop can still produce wonderful food. So Daikon radishes, I'll make some radish cake. I'll preserve some radishes. The collards and the different greens that were here came out of this flower bed that we didn't cut. I got to cut it here soon, so I want to harvest out of it. But you can see different kinds of kale, radishes. Now some of these might be good to cut off and to put them in the greenhouse and get them rooted, so that next year, because these are perennial kales, or yeah, perennial, but they're not really needed in the flower bed. So maybe not, I'll cut those off and start them in the greenhouse so that we'll have the plants for next year. But that depends on whether or not I get to cut this off at the ground. Really, this needs to be cut off at the ground and mulched. So I just browsed through it, picking greens. You can see there's still plenty of greens in here. There's just plenty of greens in here. And a lot of these, if they allow to keep growing, they are perennial. So, you know, that's one of the benefits. Now this particular bed's got marigolds in it, and it's got different bulb flowers. And so chopping this down is going to mulch them so that they'll be ready for next year. But again, this method has so many layers of plants in it that you're going to get a good little harvest of greens. You're going to return a lot of these seeds to the beds. And then we have combinations of flowers and greens. So you can see the cover crop is rye and Daikon radish and pigeon pea, I think. And I can see the variety of soil types here, because there are places where the radishes are larger than others, and where there's more pigeon pea than there is other stuff, and there's more hairy vetch than there is other stuff. And that's going to tell me about the soil. And so as I'm harvesting these vegetables, I'm also kind of building a mental map of the soil profile. So I found the largest radishes on this side, where this other side here has much smaller radishes. So, but it has more nitrogen fixing. And you can see some places, like in this path, nothing grew. So next year, actually I'm using this map to put down lime, because lime improves the availability of nutrients in the soil. And then this side over here has a lot of this weird wiregrass stuff. So this side's probably going to need maybe some inoculated charcoal, some biochar. It's going to need clover, probably put it back in on it, because there's some clover. You can see the clover in there. And it's going to need a lot more organic material. This side over here seemed to have done so well because that's where we put the manure. I don't know if you remember the video, but there was a couple loads of cow manure that was put in here by Scott. He got the cow manure in place, and we got a much thicker growth. So it helps us, the cover crops help us decide where we want to put nutrients. And you can see our path here overgrew with grass, so that's something to be aware of, that particular grass is here. And then you look, you see you got a lot of Daikon radish here, but not a lot of grass. Tells us the soil is compacted. You see over here, you got a lot of grass, not a lot of radish, not a lot of cover crop. Tells us we got this stupid grass in here. We got to get that stuff out of here. We'll see how we can do that next season. But again, you get an idea of what we're doing here. We're building out permanent raised beds. We're managing with cover crop. We are using light tillage. So I'll till an inch or so. I'll till deeper if I'm setting up a bed. Like down here, we use the rotary tiller to till that out. But you can see on this corner, look at that Daikon radish. Beautiful radishes. Again, I just throw them out in the path so they can get air out. But see, down here we had much wider tillage, but you can see the nutrients are not as readily available. Some of the cover crops didn't even take. And so this area right here, I'll survey out again and likely do a deeper tillage just to get this leveled out more. And then come back, I'll probably lime it before that, because really the lime in this particular Virginia clay, it's this red clay. The lime makes a big difference. But we don't put a lot of lime in. Whatever's recommended, we put like a fifth of that on, and then we come back later and put a little bit more later, depending on how the soil reacts. But again, what we've got here is biomass growing on the surface, but vegetables for the winter season. There's a patch. See these raised beds, the way they're oriented, get enough heat that even in the cold season, some of this stuff's going to go to seed. So, but again, this particular area here, it's got a decent sized radish coming out. And I know these radishes are super spicy, but you can make radish cakes. You can do a lot of stuff with them. This area here looks like it's got a combination of cover crop. Oh, there's some more greens. Look at that. There's some more greens right there. Now these greens might be a little thready. I mean, they might have a little fiber in them. But chopped greens, a little bit of apple cider vinegar over them, it's going to taste great. So let me just wrap up. We're growing vegetables over the winter season. We're in a temperate climate. It allows for that. But the way we're managing the beds, we're also growing biomass on those beds so that we have enough feed into the soil. We're growing nitrogen-fixing plants, the pigeon pea, the clover, and we are not doing deep tillage. The only tillage we're doing is to shape the beds, and it's very light tillage. And then when we do deeper tillage, it's only for new beds and new areas. We've got a number of new beds coming in down here. And by the way, if you'd like to take a class here and learn hands-on and actually see how this works and see it in practice, it's a big difference over the videos. The videos are kind of haphazard. When you come out here for a class, you're going to get a lot more hands-on experience. Look at that. Look at that Daikon radish. Now I'm going to let them air out a little bit, and then I'll peel off the extra things, but you can eat these greens too. And when you're getting radishes like this, it tells you the soil is where it needs to be. We're going to have a wonderful crop on this next year because this radish has been able to drive down into the soil. And I see a couple more here. So this here is probably another mature bed. Folks, you want to be here next spring. You want to learn how this works. Because being able to grow your own food, be able to have healthy and nutritious meals on the table, no matter what, starts with understanding how to use the land. Now, you don't have to go this big. You could start out on a 4x4 square. You could start out with 4x4 square. Now, I'm seeing a lot of radishes in here, so I'm definitely done. Click the link below, join our mailing list. You'll find out when classes are available. I'm going to pick some more. I'm excited. I'm going to pick more of these radishes, and we'll be able to preserve them. We'll be able to dry some, make a radish powder. And, I'm just so excited. Thanks for watching. I'm Justin Hitt from Prosperity Homestead.